Imagine a world where modern medicine could erase your most painful experiences, leaving you blissfully unaware of the trauma. Sounds like progress, right? In the 1920s, Twilight Sleep promised exactly that, a childbirth without pain, where women would forget the ordeal altogether. But beneath this scientific marble lurked unsettling questions. What happens when we choose numbness over experience? And how much control is too much? Edith Wharton addressed these questions with razor-sharp satire in Twilight Sleep. Her novel paints a scathing portrait of a society desperate to escape discomfort, no matter the cost. Born in 1862 to a high-status New York family, Wharton knew a bit about privilege and the rigid social expectations of the Gilded Age. Her upbringing afforded her material wealth and few liberties of her own, which is reflected in works like The House of Mirth and The Age of Innocence. Wharton broke with tradition. She became one of the first women to receive the Pulitzer Prize for fiction and led a ferociously self-sufficient intellectual life. A friend and contemporary of Henry James, she routinely wrote on social criticism, morality, and modernity. And when she published Twilight Sleep in 1927, she was already living in France, absorbing the cultural developments of the 1920s through an acute and often pedantic lens. Twilight Sleep was a controversial medical practice combining morphine and scopolamine to ease childbirth pain while erasing memory of the experience. Proponents hailed it as progress, but detractors criticized its dehumanizing aspects, as women were rendered semi-conscious and disconnected. Wharton uses this concept metaphorically to highlight a general desire to numb life's difficulties. Pauline Manford, the novel's protagonist, reflects this trend. Obsessed with perfecting her life, Pauline flits between cosmetic treatments, spiritual pursuits, and a rigidly scheduled existence. She believes she can manage every facet of her world, but her efforts mask a profound emptiness. And this can be seen in her daily schedule with new tasks every 15 minutes. Wharton's humor underscores how modern distractions displace deeper engagement with life. 7:30, mental uplift. 7:45, breakfast. 8, psychoanalysis. 8:15, see cook. 8:30, silent meditation. 8:45, facial massage. 9, man with Persian miniatures, and so on and so on. Now, Sigmund Freud's psychoanalysis gained traction during Wharton's lifetime, promising insights into the unconscious. Wealthy Americans, particularly the elite, embraced it as part of a cultural trend, yet Wharton approached psychoanalysis skeptically, as her letters and biographies suggest. In Twilight Sleep, Wharton critiques its superficial application, portraying characters who use therapy as a form of escapism rather than self-awareness. Pauline exemplifies this in reducing psychoanalysis to just another chore. When she consults a spiritual guru, her interest lies not in genuine transformation, but in keeping up appearances. Her conversations are filled with platitudes such as, "The real trouble is nobody has time to be ill anymore, not properly, gloriously ill." Wharton mocks this paradox, where modern advancements promise wellness yet leave individuals more disconnected than ever. Wharton's choice of title extends beyond childbirth practices to encompass emotional numbness. Pauline's fixation on external improvements masks her inability to connect with her family. Her son Nona feels alienated by her constant distractions, while her husband Dexter retreats into a pragmatic detachment. Pauline avoids intimacy with her family. And on some level, she recognizes signs of unhappiness in her husband, for instance, but, quote, her immediate thought was that he must be ill, that she ought to take his temperature. She always responded by first aid impulses to any contact with human distress. Now, this avoidance extends to other characters. Dexter tolerates his wife's antics, but he seeks comfort in an affair. His pragmatic approach highlights Wharton's critique of the era's superficiality. Modern solutions offer convenience, but fail to address deeper human needs. The characters' focus on outward appearances leaves their inner lives hollow, reflecting Wharton's skepticism of modernity's promises. Twilight Sleep and psychoanalysis both offered a sense of control over physical pain and emotional conflict, respectively. Wharton uses Pauline's rigidly structured life to show the futility of such control. Despite her meticulous efforts with arrangements and engagements, her family unravels due to infidelity, dissatisfaction, and disconnection. Dexter's passivity, meanwhile, underscores the novel's theme that modern advancements cannot shield people from life's inherent messiness. Now, when Twilight Sleep was published, its reception reflected a mix of admiration and criticism. Critics like Percy Hutchison of the New York Times noted that Wharton's writing remained polished, but lacked the imaginative power of her earlier work. Mrs. Edith Wharton will receive the usual felicitations on the production of a new novel. Mrs. Wharton's achievements may vary from book to book, and it seems increasingly probable that she will never again quite equal Ethan Frome and the House of Mirth. The Atlantic criticized the characters as puppets, lacking depth. Wharton's satirical tone likely contributed to its reception. Characters like Pauline are exaggerated to highlight the absurdities of 1920s excess. Her dialogue, filled with witticisms and contradictions, underscores the era's contradictions, and this biting humor exposes the hollowness of the elite's pursuits. Pauline felt no more inconsistency in this double train of thought than she did in shuddering at the crimes of the Roman Church and longing to receive one of its dignitaries with all the proper ceremonial. She was used to such rapid adjustments and proud of the fact that whole categories of contradictory opinions lay down together in her mind as peacefully as the happy families exhibited by strolling circuses. Wharton's critique extends to class dynamics. Access to Twilight Sleep, Psychoanalysis, and other modern conveniences were largely restricted to the wealthy. Pauline's ability to delegate tasks from child rearing to personal care underscores her privilege, yet this insulation also alienates her from genuine connections. Nona observes of his mother, had Pauline been a pioneer's wife and seen her family stricken down by disease in the wilderness, she would have nursed them fearlessly. But all her life she had been used to buying off suffering with money or denying its existence with words, and her moral muscles had become so atrophied that only some great shock would restore their natural strength. This observation encapsulates the emotional distance privilege creates. Wharton suggests that wealth enables avoidance, but at the cost of meaningful relationships. The title unites the novel's themes. Twilight Sleep, celebrated as a medical marvel, represents the risks of numbing oneself to life's experiences. And similarly, Pauline's pursuit of modern solutions leaves her detached from reality. The satirical tone of the novel reinforces Wharton's critique, and Pauline's frantic attempts to manage her life are as laughable as they are tragic. By exaggerating her character's flaws, it draws attention to how readers might rely on distractions themselves. Twilight Sleep critiques the illusion of progress in the 1920s, revealing how modern advancements can alienate rather than improve. Through Pauline's emotional numbness and her family's disconnection, Wharton exposes the emptiness of seeking comfort at the expense of meaning. Confronting life's challenges brings value, not avoiding them in a twilight sleep. And right now, you could confront that subscribe button. It's not really a challenge, but it helps the channel out, and you'll get updated when new videos are published. And liking, sharing, and commenting, they're all great too. And with that said, you might watch this one next.